Have you ever had a woman walk away from you, only to realize later that you were the one she truly needed? It's a painful experience, one that often leaves you wondering if there was something you could have done differently. We've all heard the saying, you don't know what you've got until it's gone, and when it comes to relationships, it couldn't be more true. Sometimes, the only way to make her realize what she lost is by doing something that shifts her perspective completely. In this video, I'm going to reveal the secret that will make any woman regret leaving you. You'll learn how to become the kind of man who commands respect, attracts admiration, and makes her realize she made a mistake. Stick with me until the end. You'll gain insights that will change the way you handle relationships and put you in control of your future. Focus on self-improvement and becoming the best version of yourself. When it comes to the idea of becoming the best version of yourself, it's more than just some catchphrase people throw around in self-help books. This is the kind of shift that could truly change the course of your life. You see, we often think that the key to winning someone back is about making them see how much they mean to us. We try to convince them, change ourselves for them, or show them all the things they might have missed. But here's the thing, the real power lies in you focusing on yourself, not them. Think about it, if you're constantly looking outward for validation or to prove something to someone else, you're ignoring the most important part of the equation, you. I've been there. I've been the guy who thought if I just worked harder, looked better, or showed my worth in some grand gesture, maybe, just maybe, she'd come back. But it wasn't until I started investing in myself, my growth, my happiness, that I realized this wasn't about her or anyone else, it was about me. And here's the thing, when you focus on your self-improvement, you're not just becoming a version of yourself for someone else. You're doing it for you, for your own peace of mind, for your own well-being, for your own future. You might have heard the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's true. When you're constantly running on empty, trying to please everyone else or fix your past, there's no energy left for your own growth. But when you start taking care of yourself, whether it's emotionally, physically, or mentally, it's like putting gas in that tank. And suddenly, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. This isn't just about hitting the gym or picking up a new hobby, though. This is about diving deep into who you are, figuring out what makes you tick, what you stand for, and what really drives you. When I went through a tough breakup, I took a hard look at the things I was neglecting, my health, my passions, my goals. I wasn't focusing on the things that would make me stronger. I was too busy chasing after validation from someone else. But when I shifted my focus to self-improvement, something changed inside me. I began to take control of my life. I started reading more, learning about things I didn't even know I was passionate about, investing in my physical health, and ultimately learning to love the guy in the mirror. And I'll be honest with you, the changes weren't instant. It took time, and there were days when I doubted myself, thinking, what's the point? Is it worth it? But each small win, whether it was a new skill or a new workout routine, built on itself. I realized that the more I became the best version of myself, the less I needed validation from anyone else. And that's where the magic happens. When you stop needing anyone to tell you your worth, you radiate confidence. You become the kind of person others respect, not because you're trying to prove something to them, but because you've proven it to yourself. As Ryan Holiday puts it in his book The Obstacle is the Way, the obstacle is the way. The challenges, the heartbreak, the struggles, they're not setbacks. They're opportunities. They're the very things that can push you to become a version of yourself that you might never have even imagined. If you focus on becoming that person, the best, most evolved version of yourself, then trust me, you'll leave the past behind. You won't need to chase anyone or beg them to come back. You'll be the one they wish they never let go of. But here's the real kicker, it won't matter, because by then, you won't need anyone to complete you. You'll already be whole. Maintain emotional independence and strength. Let's talk about emotional independence for a second. If you're anything like I used to be, you might find yourself getting lost in your emotions, especially when someone you care about walks away. It's natural, right? You've invested your heart, your time, your energy, and then, out of nowhere, they're gone. And when that happens, it's easy to feel like you've lost part of yourself. I've been there, feeling like I was drowning in the aftermath of a breakup, wishing I could turn back time, do things differently. But here's the truth, the key to getting through something like this, and the secret to making someone regret leaving you, lies in one thing: emotional independence. It's not easy, though. Society tells us that relationships are supposed to complete us, that someone else should be the other half of our soul. We hear these stories from movies, social media, and even our friends. But what happens when we buy into that idea? We tie our self-worth to another person. We give them the power to control how we feel, how we see ourselves, and how we move through the world. And when they leave, we're left feeling empty, like we've lost a piece of our identity. But here's the thing, emotional independence doesn't mean shutting off your emotions or pretending that you don't care. It's about learning to find your sense of worth from within, regardless of what's happening outside. It's about remembering that your happiness doesn't hinge on someone else's approval. I'll never forget the moment I realized this. After a long, painful breakup, I was at my lowest. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had failed, that I wasn't enough. But slowly, as I started to heal, I began focusing on myself, on my own growth, my own desires, my own peace of mind. I started doing things that made me feel good, whether it was getting lost in a book, going for long walks, or diving deep into my work. And in doing so, I found a strength that I didn't know I had. That strength, that emotional independence, came from knowing that I was whole on my own. I didn't need anyone else to define my worth. And here's the kicker, when you're emotionally independent, when you're strong in yourself, it makes you so much more attractive, not in a superficial way, but in a way that draws others to you because they see you're not desperate for validation. It's magnetic. When you're able to be okay on your own, people notice. And not just any people, but the ones who are emotionally mature and who value real connection. You see, emotional strength isn't about being stoic or suppressing your feelings, it's about being resilient. It's about feeling the pain, the sadness, and still standing tall, knowing that you will come out the other side stronger. It's about building a life that you love, filled with things that fulfill you, so that when someone leaves, you're not left with a void. Instead, you have a solid foundation, a life of your own that you've built, brick by brick, and no one can take that away. As the philosopher Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." If you're emotionally independent, you'll find your own why, your purpose, your reason to keep moving forward. And that's the kind of strength that doesn't just make someone regret leaving you, it makes them realize that they missed out on something truly valuable. But the best part? You won't need them to validate your worth anymore. You'll already know that you're more than enough on your own. Show her your life is thriving without her. Alright, let's dive into one of the most powerful things you can do when trying to move on after a breakup. Show her that your life is thriving without her. Now, I know this might sound counterintuitive. You might be thinking, wait, isn't the goal to get her back? But stick with me here. The truth is, when you focus on showing her that your life is better without her, you're not trying to get her back at all. Instead, you're creating a life for yourself, one that doesn't depend on anyone else, not even her. I've been in that place, that weird limbo after a breakup where you feel like you're stuck in quicksand, struggling to find your footing. And it's tempting to show how much you miss her, how hard it's been, how empty things feel without her. But here's the catch. The moment you do that, you're showing that you're not thriving, you're surviving. And there's nothing attractive about being stuck in survival mode, no matter how much you might want to reach out and beg for a second chance. Instead, focus on thriving. Focus on the things you've put on the back burner during your relationship, your passions, your goals, your dreams. You know, the things that made you before she came into your life. When I went through a breakup a few years ago, I remember how it felt like the ground was pulled from under me. But rather than wallow in it, I decided to throw myself into things I had neglected, like learning a new skill, picking up the gym routine I had abandoned, and rediscovering my love for writing. And the more I focused on my growth, the less I needed her to feel whole. This is where the magic happens. When you show that you're thriving, when you're posting on social media about your new accomplishments, when you're out there living your best life, or when you're simply exuding confidence, it makes her realize something important. It shows her that you're not dependent on her for your happiness, your fulfillment, or your success. And trust me, that's a realization that stings. Psychologically speaking, people are attracted to individuals who are independent and self-sufficient. You become someone others want to be around, someone who's creating their own path. When you're living your life with purpose, when you're actively pursuing things that excite you, it radiates this energy of abundance. You stop being that guy who used to be and become that guy, the guy who has it all together, who is unapologetically chasing his dreams, and who doesn't need validation from anyone. And here's the kicker, when you stop needing her, when you stop chasing, it paradoxically makes you more attractive to her. It's not because you're playing some game, but because you're showing her that you're not waiting around for her to complete your life. You found something better, yourself. You're not desperate, you're not needy, and that's the kind of strength that women respect. As the great philosopher Seneca once said, true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. So, if you really want to make her regret leaving you, let her see that your life is richer, fuller, and more vibrant without her in it. Let her see that you've become the man she always knew you could be, the man who isn't defined by his relationship status, but by his growth, his strength, and his drive. And when she sees that, when she sees you flourishing, she'll know that letting go wasn't just a loss for her, it was a loss for the both of you. But here's the most important part, you won't need her to know that. You'll already be too busy living your best life to care. Keep your dignity and don't beg for her return. Let's talk about something crucial here, dignity. Specifically, why you must keep it and, under no circumstances, beg for her return. It might sound harsh, right? You might be thinking, but if I just tell her how much I miss her, how much I regret everything, maybe she'll see how much I care. Maybe I'll get a second chance. I get it. I've been there. After a breakup, it feels like the whole world has just crumbled around you. The urge to reach out, to apologize, to beg and plead, becomes almost overwhelming. But here's the thing, doing that is not going to make her regret leaving you. It's going to make her lose even more respect for you. It's painful to hear, I know. But I've been down that road myself. I remember a time when I thought, if I just say the right words, if I just show her how much she means to me, everything will fall into place. So, I did. I reached out, I apologized, I told her all the things I had failed to say. And what happened? Nothing. She didn't come running back, and in fact, I only lost a bit more of myself in the process. Because, in those moments, I wasn't acting from a place of strength or respect for myself. I was acting from a place of desperation. Here's the cold, hard truth, begging for someone to come back to you isn't a reflection of how much you love them. It's a reflection of how little you value yourself. When you beg, when you grovel, what you're actually saying to her is, I'm not enough on my own. I need you to complete me. And that's not a powerful message. That's not the message that makes someone regret walking away from you. In fact, it's the opposite. It tells her that you're willing to accept anything she throws your way, no matter how little she might value you in return. Now, I'm not saying this to be cruel. Quite the opposite. I'm saying this because I've been there, and I wish someone had pulled me aside back then and said, stop. You are worth more than this. The truth is, your dignity is your most valuable asset in times like these. Keeping your dignity means showing her that your life is not defined by her. It means standing tall, even when the temptation to shrink and beg is at its strongest. It means respecting yourself enough to walk away if that's what's necessary, knowing that your worth isn't tied to whether she comes back or not. There's this incredible line by the writer and philosopher, Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning. He says, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." You can't change the fact that she left, but you can change how you handle it. You can decide that your dignity is not up for negotiation, and that no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much you want her back, you will not beg. You will stand strong, knowing that the person who will truly appreciate you will be the one who respects your strength, your independence, and your dignity. Not the one who sees you as someone willing to settle for scraps of affection. So, what do you do instead of begging? You focus on your own growth. You invest in yourself. You find purpose in the things that matter to you, and you live with the knowledge that you don't need anyone to complete you. That's how you keep your dignity intact. You show her that you are enough without her, and that, my friend, is what will make her truly regret her decision. Be respectful but distant, showing that you no longer need her to be happy. Here's something that might feel counterintuitive, but it's one of the most powerful moves you can make after a breakup. Be respectful but distant. I know. You might be thinking, but I don't want her to think I don't care. But here's the thing, respecting her doesn't mean chasing after her. It doesn't mean waiting by the phone, hoping she'll come back. Respecting her is about showing that you've moved forward, that your happiness no longer depends on her presence. It's about making her see that you're thriving without her, emotionally, mentally, and in every other way. When a breakup happens, it's tempting to either completely shut off from the person who left or to try and be the good guy and stay close, hoping things might change. I've made the mistake of doing both in the past. After one breakup, I was texting every few days, asking how she was, showing that I was there for her. I was trying to keep the door open, in case she changed her mind. But let me tell you, it didn't work. In fact, it just made me seem desperate. The more I reached out, the more I showed that I couldn't function without her, the more I lost my sense of self in the process. It took a while, but I realized that if I wanted to keep my dignity intact, and if I wanted to show her that my life was moving forward, with or without her, I had to take a step back. I had to show respect in a different way. Respect wasn't about being her emotional backup or constantly keeping the connection alive. It was about stepping back, giving her space, and showing that my life was whole even without her in it. This doesn't mean being cold or rude. You're still a good person, and you can still treat her with kindness. But there's a big difference between being respectful and being emotionally available in the way you might have been before. You can be civil, acknowledge her as a person, and move forward with your life, without needing to prove anything to her. Psychologically speaking, this shift is powerful. When someone sees you moving on with ease, when they see that you are not emotionally dependent on them for your happiness, it stirs something in them. They begin to question, why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he coming after me, begging for me to come back? This is where the regret starts to creep in. Not because you're doing anything manipulative, but because you've shown that you are emotionally strong, whole, and content with yourself. As I look back on that time in my life, I realized that the moment I stopped acting desperate, the moment I started respecting myself enough to give her space and live my life on my own terms, that's when things started to shift. And you know what? I didn't even have to do anything dramatic to prove it. I didn't need to make a grand gesture or tell her I was doing better. I just lived my life, focused on my own growth, and let her see the changes happening. It was subtle, but powerful. It's also incredibly freeing. You don't need anyone to complete you. You're already whole. And when you show that, When you stop letting someone's presence or absence determine your worth, it's a game changer. As the philosopher Eckhart Tolle puts it, realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. So focus on now, focus on you, and let her see that your happiness is no longer tied to her. Being respectful but distant is about moving on, but in a way that shows strength, not anger. It's not about playing games or trying to make her jealous, it's about showing her that you've found peace with who you are, and that's what truly makes her wonder if she let something valuable slip through her fingers. So, now you know the secret that will make any woman regret leaving you. It's all about your value, self-respect, and emotional control. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or share your experiences on how you've handled breakups. Stay strong, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next one.